Tonight, Dorian's wrath reaches our shores.
The wind and rain slashing through our state.
Me and my wife and the cat took shelter. We went into the bathroom. Power went out. We were there less than a minute.
Conditions deteriorating in Wilmington. Live by the water. Next.
Conditions are getting worse here in downtown Wilmington. The wind is whipping and the rain is falling. I'm live with the latest conditions coming up.
The latest on the conditions here in Myrtle Beach.
Dorian hitting the North Carolina coast. Wilmington seeing the strongest part right now. Outer Banks up next. WFMY News 2 at 11 starts right now.
We're okay. We lost the house. We lost everything, but we're okay.
Don't risk your life or the lives of first responders.
We've got everything all charged. We've got food we can cook both on the grill and on the stove.
Some lost everything, some are getting by. Dorian's wrath is different for all, and now it's here.
The rain, it's coming down heavy in Wilmington. The streets starting to fill with water. In Kill Devil Hills, the surf is churning violently. People living along the coast are bracing for a long night ahead.
We have teams live at the coast tonight, 2 in Wilmington, 1 in Myrtle Beach. We'll check conditions there in just a few moments.
Right now, though, what we want to do is we want to tell you about how there's 60,000 people that are without power in our state as the wind and the rain is picking up. We also know that the storm is speeding up.
Right. President Trump says he's talked to Governor Roy Cooper tonight. In a tweet, he said, "We are monitoring the storm at the White House, ready to assist via our great team over at FEMA. We are already on site. We are with you all the way, North Carolina. Be safe."
What we want you to do right now is check out this video from the Outer Banks. The waves picking up, the rain starting to come down, covering the roads, and some folks say they are still willing to stay because they say they're prepared.
You know, we get nor'easters that have wind like this, so, you know, we're kind of used to it.
Slowly but surely, Dorian is making its way up the coast tonight. Tim, where is it now?
Well, right now, the eye of the storm is closer to the U.S. than it has ever been, closer than when it was in Florida or in South Carolina. Here are the latest stats. 100-mile-per-hour winds, they have been fairly steady throughout much of the day. I will point this out. It's picked up some forward speed, moving to the northeast at 13 miles per hour. That's up from 8 miles per hour earlier today. That's good news. We want it to get out of here. The pressure fairly steady at about 958 millibars. There's Wilmington. There's the eye of the storm. Let's zoom you right in. 19 miles off the coast. This is the highest wind that you're going to see in the system in the eye of the storm. The good news is that the eye has stayed offshore. It did not technically hit Bald Head Island, but it was close. The problem is that they are going to get a pretty nasty storm surge. Wrightsville, Topsail, places like that in Pender and New Hanover counties. This is also a problem. We still have those outer bands that are creating concerns. Could see some more tornadoes. This is for the Outer Banks and eastern North Carolina. Tornado watch until 7. Outer Banks, this is just beginning because the heart of the storm will be right over them early tomorrow morning. Wilmington, it will be getting better at that point. The highest winds I've seen so far have been right here at this buoy. 87 mile per hour. The eye went right overhead. Fort Fisher's had winds gusting to 75 miles per hour. We'll have a look at your Triad weather coming up.
All right, so we want to bring you out live to the coast right now. We have a team of reporters standing by with the latest.
Jess Winters is live in Wilmington, where the rain and winds are intensifying tonight.
The winds are whipping in downtown Wilmington by the Riverwalk with just punishing rain. We're keeping an eye on the flooding right now. We're right by the Cape Fear River, and locals and officials have told us this is a hot spot for flooding. We're under a flash flood warning until 12:30, and our meteorologists, our entire weather team, have said all week that no matter the track that Dorian is on, the exact track, coastal Carolina is going to be feeling some effects. Well, folks, take a look at this right now. Just look at me. I'm drenched. We are feeling those effects as we speak. Kyle, my photographer, if you can pan over, we're starting to see some ponding on the Riverwalk. We're by Water Street. And from here down, if you're familiar with Wilmington, if you vacation here, if you have family here, you know that this is a very flood-prone area. Last year for Florence, there was 5 feet of water in this very location. And folks, the worst is yet to come tonight. This is just the beginning of Dorian for Wilmington, for North Carolina. So we're expecting those water levels to rise. But the good news is officials have told me flooding is not the big story with Dorian as it was for Matthew, as it was for Florence, because during those hurricanes and those storms, This area had already been inundated with water in the previous month. Lots of rain. We're talking 20 inches plus. This time around, Wilmington has been in a drought. So any water we're seeing, we're about to get 6 to 10 inches in some isolated areas. They may see about 15 inches. But other than that, we're just going to get those 6 to 10 inches. And so flooding is not the big concern. We're waiting for these punishing winds, those hurricane force winds, to keep picking up as the night progresses into the early morning hours. So I'm going to keep checking in with officials. Right now, Wilmington police say take shelter. Do not drive on the roads tonight because there could be areas and roads that become closed as the minutes progress, and they have those barricades ready if necessary. So that's the latest from the Riverwalk in downtown Wilmington. Again, this is a famous area, but also famous for flooding. Back to you.
Jess, thank you. Maddie Gardner is also in Wilmington tonight. Maddie, you all are getting close to peak conditions tonight.
Yeah, Chad, this is the moment that Wilmington has been prepared for, and now we will see if their preparations will stand the test of Dorian. We are live downtown, just about 5 blocks away from where Jessica is at the Riverwalk. That wind is really starting to pick up, and it is bringing a lot of rain with it. If you take a look at 3rd Street here, you can see just how fast the rain and the wind is moving. It almost looks like a river current moving downstream here on 3rd Street. A lot of standing water that we're seeing, and that wind is really making those trees dance out here in downtown Wilmington. This has been the scene for the past 2 or 3 hours now. We've also seen bright flashes of blue-green light out in the distance above the tree line, and we've heard a loud explosion as well. Now, we are assuming that is a transformer blowing. Fortunately, the area we are in right now still has power, and that honestly is coming as a huge surprise to us right now. We are expecting to be in the dark at this moment, but we're still holding on right now. As you can see, that wind really starting to move things around here, and the rain is really starting to come down. We could see winds up to 70 miles per hour, so we are just bracing just like the rest of Wilmington is. There's plywood on almost every window and door in downtown Wilmington. They also have sandbags lined up, really getting everything ready for this moment right here. And now we are seeing the effects of that storm start to move in, guys. And earlier this morning, you know, we were experiencing some heavy rain, but it was about 30 minutes apart. Now this rain has just been going non-stop since about 6 o'clock this evening, and the wind is only getting stronger. So we can tell that Dorian is very close to Wilmington right now. Again, you're starting to see those trees dance, that wind pick up, and those bright flashes of light. So we're just really shocked we still have power at this point. We'll keep you updated here, though, from the area of downtown Wilmington as these conditions start to get worse.
You can see from that street light how heavy the rain
Absolutely.
really is. All right, we're going to turn to our neighbors to the south, Myrtle Beach, also in Dorian's line of fire. WFMY News 2's Marissa Tanzino is there now.
Well, yeah, as our live shots kind of take their course over this evening, you can see the storm start moving into Wilmington and start moving away from Myrtle Beach. Conditions are starting to slow down here. The wind's slowing at points, and the strong wind gusts becoming less frequent. Hundreds of thousands of people, though, still without power in South Carolina tonight. But we spoke with several people who are here from out of state, all over the country, to help clean up tomorrow.
We left Morristown Sunday morning at 5 a.m. going to Gainesville. We stayed there till the hurricane passed and then left yesterday morning.
Mark Nicholson and his team came all the way from Tennessee to Florida and now Myrtle Beach.
Right now we're just on standby for Sandy Cooper, waiting for the storm to pass. Then we're going to help with storm restoration starting at 6 o'clock in the morning.
It's been a long road for this crew.
We've seen a lot of devastation, a lot of rain, and it's been a long trip.
But they're looking forward to helping out.
Feeling like the storm's coming.
Yeah, so, you know, Dorian is certainly here. He's certainly made his way through here. Again, the conditions starting to slow down. We're seeing those stronger gusts of winds become less frequent. But the rain is something that has really remained pretty much steady throughout the night. If you can take a look, Jeff, if you could pan to some of the street lights there, the rain's still coming down sideways. So even though We know that Dorian is making its way toward Wilmington and moving away from the Myrtle Beach coast. We're still seeing the effects here. This is a powerful storm. It's a big storm. So we are definitely still seeing that. In the time that we've been here, we have seen a couple transformers blow off in the distance. So, you know, that just speaks to how many people are without power in the state of South Carolina. So we're going to continue monitoring conditions here, and we'll bring you guys the latest as soon as we can.
Thanks so much, Marissa. Okay, so we have the next 3 hours, or really the main hours, at least, you know, on our North Carolina coast. And hey, Tim, you know, at least the Outer Banks, they're going to see stormy conditions well into tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that's right. I was about to say, don't forget about the Outer Banks, because they are going to be feeling those effects all the way through the early afternoon tomorrow. And here at home, nothing to sneeze at. We do have these 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts right here in the Triad. Just to reiterate this track, it does brush the Outer Banks, or even making a direct hit. Remember, the eye did not come ashore in the Wilmington area. Good news, missed by about 15 miles. I'm a little surprised at how low some of these wind gusts are. Good news, too. They've been up around 50. That's in Wilmington proper, where you just saw some of those reports. The flooding, though, that is always a big concern. They have had a lot of rain, and some of the estimates, down where Marissa was, about 9-10 inches in some cases. Wilmington itself, in some of those earlier bands this morning that caused the tornadoes, close to 10 inches of rain fell just like that. Pretty amazing. I do want to show you this. This is the Frying Pan Tower. You've probably seen the webcam, that big tower in the ocean with the American flag. It got through the eye of the storm, and right now wind is gusting at 89 miles per hour. Just a little bit ago, the wind was in the 20-mile-per-hour range. That's where it is. It went through the eye. So it went from strong wind to calm wind and then back to strong wind again. That's the path of the storm that should continue up toward Hatteras. Let's give you a close view here. There's Morehead City, Atlantic Beach, Cape Lookout. They're going to have a very close brush with the eye of the hurricane. Same story for Ocracoke and for Cape Hatteras as well. That's plenty enough to cause a lot of damage in the Outer Banks, unfortunately. Our rain has been steady all day to the east and non-existent to the west. You really have not much to worry about tonight, folks. It's a little breezy for sure. Winds are gusting to around 30 miles per hour. But here's your Friday forecast. We'll keep the gusty wind around through the early morning, but as we go into the afternoon, the sun is around. It's a pretty nice day. It's just a hot day of weather. We got a pretty nice weekend as well. No weather issues. Do what you like.
Our team of meteorologists has you covered when severe weather approaches, no matter what type. Track this storm anytime using our free app and WFMYnews2.com.
Well, so many people are posting what you or your loved ones are seeing at the coast. We're taking a closer look right now about what all those posts look like.
Right. WFMY News 2's Ben Briscoe found some of the best pictures and videos.
Guys, I want to start with the most dramatic video of the day, easily. This is from Emerald Isle. It is a Ring doorbell camera on a house that was actually picked up in a tornado. I'm going to press play here so I can let you watch it. You can see the wind start picking up right there, and then all of a sudden, as the wind and the rain really starts coming in on this house right here, you can see the house is lifted up just like that. The owner was watching the Ring doorbell camera from safety over the app when it happened. I do want to show you also some Snapchat videos coming in from very late tonight, just a couple of minutes ago in Wilmington. People saying, yeah, my house is a pool now as that water starts to flood inside. We've also seen some parking lots and roads completely flooded. This driver saying on Snapchat that the water went all the way around them and they were stuck right there and not able to move. We are also seeing rain just coming down sideways, pelting people. Take a look at this from Wilmington. The power of that rain as it hits that car there, you can see it's really intense right now. City of Myrtle Beach is saying that, hey, we don't even want you driving around right now because we don't know what's in the roadway at the moment. They're saying that there's debris just like this tree down all over the place, and they can't see what's there until the morning when the sun comes up, so they're asking people to stay put. Also, we are starting to see problems with generators. This is something that happens every single storm. Out in Horry County right now, they just responded to a mobile home fire that was started by a generator placed too close to the house. Remember, if you do lose power, you want to keep it outside of the house and far away, at least 20 feet. We do want to talk about power outages really quick. Right now, according to the North Carolina map, we are up to about 73,000 power outages across the state. You can tell most of those are in the hurricane hit area. Our area seems to be doing just fine. We're going to keep checking on social media. We'll be back with you in just a few.
All right, thanks, Ben. Let's go back out to the coast. A live look at Wrightsville Beach tonight. The powerful winds have been pushing the rain sideways tonight. This is the camera out at Wrightsville Beach. It's creating quite the show on the live cam. We are expecting it to get even more active over the coming hours. Now a live look at Nags Head over at Jeanette's Pier. A similar story there. Conditions will worsen there as Dorian moves closer to the Outer Banks. And if you look closely, you can see those huge waves crashing onto shore.
Yeah, Governor Cooper addressed all areas of the state today, and he urged folks early on today to just simply shelter in place and not to move as the storm goes through.
We are feeling the storm's force, but it has only started. We have a long night ahead of us.
A lot of people have asked us about the Corolla wild horses. Well, look at this video from Beaufort of wild horses crossing a river to higher ground. You see them there at the bottom? Now, these horses are different from the Shackelford Mustangs in Corolla, but same idea here. They're used to severe weather and they know what to do. These animals have gone through plenty of storms over the last 500 years.
Well, early on, people at the Carolina coast captured video of possible tornadoes and all the damage that they were leaving behind.
Yeah, this is some of the most dramatic video we have seen early this morning in Myrtle Beach. A suspected tornado tearing through a neighborhood as wind and rain whip around.
A little further north in Ocean Isle, Ethan sent us this video of a water spout that he caught up over the ocean. And moving up the coast a little more in Brunswick County, this is what damaging winds left behind. Roofs caving in, walls being torn off the sides of houses, boats and RVs toppled on their sides.
You've got to see this video of a suspected tornado in Pender County today. Someone shot this right near a fire station there. And this view from a drone in Emerald Isle is both alarming and heartbreaking. Vehicles and RVs mowed down in an RV park. Power lines crashed down at a parking lot across the street. Again, all of this damage well before Dorian made impact.
South Carolina, of course, feeling the impact first, their coastline getting battered for sure. We've got video right now from the pier at Folly Beach. Waves coming up close to the walkways, rain making it really tough to see.
Their Governor Henry McMaster said the storm was also tough to predict.
They're impossible to predict exactly where it's going to go and what's going to happen and where the tides are going to be and how the coincidence level of all those factors.
And this has been one of the most shared videos of the day. Someone drove a car onto the beach in Myrtle and got it stuck. The storm did the rest. Some people even came by tonight to take selfies with the Jeep. A lot of people have asked us for updates. Ben Briscoe just learned more about the circumstances. It's pretty wild. He'll explain in a couple of minutes.
In the meantime, let us give you a look at Charleston. Wind speeds have largely diminished there, but they still saw some flooding earlier in the day. You can see flooded out roads, trees down in yards, some people even trudging through the water to get from point A to point B.
We've seen a lot of trees down today, too. You see them in a family's yard here in Charleston. A tree crushed a truck and scattered debris across the yard, damaging their home.
Now, there are dozens of crews responding to this storm, many right here from the Triad. In fact, we've got a picture of a Guilford County EMS crew sleeping in their ambulance last night because they were waiting for the storm to hit today. Right now, the team is in Brunswick County doing everything they can to help people caught in the storm's path.
Again, more than 70,000 people are without power in our state. Power teams will wait until the dangerous winds pass before they're actually able to get to work. But I want you to take a look at this group of linemen in Oklahoma. They were praying before they headed here.
Well, Duke Energy is sending thousands of crews to all 4 states affected. The power company says about 500 workers or so are at the Operations Center in Greensboro, and they're going to be leaving for the coast by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
The Red Cross spread hundreds of people from Florida to North Carolina. They say nearly 7,000 people are staying at shelters throughout the 4 states, 900 just in hours. 2,500 volunteers are helping at those shelters, 12 of them from the Triad.
The Red Cross has 116 shelters ready for evacuees. More than 40 of them are in our state. Many of them are in the central and eastern parts of our state. Now, Triad organizations are reaching out to help. Cone Health is offering free virtual visits to Hurricane Dorian evacuees. Virtual visits involve talking to a doctor through a smartphone app, whether it be video or just audio. You can sign up on the Cone Health app or on their website.
Meantime, animal shelters are looking out for all those pets. The Guilford County Animal Shelter rescued at least 30 so far, many of them from New Hanover County at the coast. The shelter's director brought them here overnight, and more are expected soon. The pets will now head to a shelter in Ohio where they will be put up for adoption. And while it's pretty wild at the beach right now, it's been fairly calm here.
Yeah, the effects really haven't been significant, but WFMY News 2's Alma McCarty explains how a lot of eyes are glued on a powerful patriotic image.
That's right, Tanya. If you've even just glanced at social media today, chances are you've seen this. It's the frying pan tower cam with Old Glory holding on tight as the winds whip by. Of course, we wanted to find out the story behind all of this, so we went straight to the source. Meet Richard Neal, one of the co-owners of the frying pan. Back in the 50s and 60s, before the days of GPS, these towers warned sailors away from dangerous shoals. There were about a dozen back then, but now this one, 32 miles off the North Carolina coast, is one of 3 remaining structures in the Atlantic Ocean.
The tower is special because it's been out there a long time and people are trying to restore it so we can increase our knowledge of what's going on out in the middle of the ocean.
And what's going on right now? Hurricane Dorian. Neal is not currently on it, but he has been before for Hurricanes Sandy, Arthur, and Matthew.
It is terrifyingly beautiful, if you can imagine. You can actually see just mountains of water rolling past, so it's awesome.
And no matter the conditions outside, the focus of the shot remains the American flag. Neal says this shows pride.
There's actually a whole set of guidelines and rules, but what we found out is in polling and talking to the veterans that we had both that time and this time, is that they prefer to leave it up and standing proud as a symbol of what we go through in America.
After Hurricane Florence, the flag flying at the tower was retired and auctioned off. Neal says proceeds from that went right back to helping the victims of Florence. The same will happen here with this flag when the team gets back to the frying pan next week.
Alma, thank you. Let's check the conditions in Wilmington now, where Dorian is pounding coastal neighborhoods. Boy, you can see rain still coming down out there, a lot of it. Fortunately, no people in sight. That is a good sign.
It really is. People are staying off those roads, right? You know what? It's looking much better in Myrtle Beach than it has in a long time. And the fact that there is still power on the beach is really surprising to me.
Absolutely.
All right, it's time once again for you to hold me to it. And last night, Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley forecasted a high temperature right around 80 degrees, and that was the high temperature that we had today as we tracked Dorian starting to move on up the east coast. So again, the forecast was 80, the actual high temperature 80. That puts our accuracy streak now at 43 days. Let's look at what's going on out there right now. We are seeing a little bit of rain trying to make its way into the Triad, but really all eyes on the coast right now. It's part of the state that will have to deal with the significant impacts from Dorian. Around here, we will have breezy conditions overnight, wind gusts up to 30 to 40 miles per hour, but the majority of the rain is really going to be east of Greensboro across portions of Alamance County. And as this system moves away as we go through tomorrow morning, we'll still have windy conditions in the morning, but then we'll start to clear out as we go through the afternoon. The winds will begin to relax, and we'll see a high temperature of 86 degrees. And I want you to hold me to it. We'll talk more about where Dorian is right now and where it's going coming up in the full forecast after the break.
Welcome back to our coverage of what's become a powerful storm off our coast, and you can certainly see it in our live pictures.
That's right. WFMY News 2's Jess Winters is live in Wilmington, and Jess, that storm just keeps moving closer to where you are.
The winds and the rain have really started to pick up since the last time we checked in. I think this is the fury that Governor Cooper was speaking to. Conditions are starting to become dangerous. If you remember with Hurricane Florence, there were 15 deaths in North Carolina. 11 of those had to do with flooding. So we're really keeping an eye on all the flooding here because we are right by the Cape Fear River. Coastal storm surge is a concern, and that can affect water inlets like the Cape Fear River. We are on the Riverwalk right now. This is a flood-prone zone, so we're already seeing some ponding further down on Water Street. We can see it has already flooded. We're in a safe spot right here. But I will say I think more people are prepared this time around because Florence was just 1 year ago, so people were boarding up earlier, putting sandbags up earlier. I just ran into a hurricane relief nonprofit, two gentlemen who said they're going to be out here until 7 a.m. surveying everything, making sure everyone's okay, and removing debris. Take a listen. When is it time to call it a night tonight?
Never. No. I mean, the hurricane season is upon us, and we are here. We'll stay out all night.
So they're not calling in a night. We certainly are not calling in a night. We will be out here keeping you informed, keeping you safe day in and day out. And also Duke Energy, they're working on 17-hour shifts, so they're going to be out here. But I do want to remind you folks, they're not going to be able to fix those power outages because they can't work under these dangerous, hazardous conditions. They have to wait until daybreak before they can fix that power. So everyone has to hang in there, and power outages could even affect the Triad. Duke Energy said most likely just up to the Triangle, but the Triad is a possibility, so keep that in mind. I'm going to keep an eye on all of this rain and wind. As you can see, you can probably see it just punishing right now. If you can zoom in on a street light, maybe you can see it even better. Kyle, my photographer, is going to go up there. We're live in downtown Wilmington right now. I'm going to send it back so you can go to Maddie Gardner later on. She has a different vantage point from Wilmington, higher up above on the 6th floor, so those winds gotta be even stronger. Back to you.
Thanks so much, Justin. You can absolutely hear it. You can see it, all of it. The commotion at the coast causing all kinds of issues for airlines. FlightAware reports more than 1,200 flight cancellations today. I mean, you can see why. More than 14,000 delays.
Yeah, and look at this picture of flights around our part of the country. All of those planes are steering clear of Hurricane Dorian. The brunt of the storm has largely cleared out of Florida, even Georgia. You can see the water is still pretty high here in Savannah, just some rain falling, but they avoided a direct hit and potentially serious damage.
We want you to take a look at this video from Vero Beach in Florida. The storm is gone. Much of the beach there has eroded away. The CBS affiliate in West Palm Beach posted this on Facebook. It's expected it could cost $10,000 to replenish the lost sand.
And while they avoided major damage, the Bahamas were not so lucky.
That devastation, it is shocking. The homes, the buildings, and more mowed down by 110-mile-per-hour winds. The pile of debris seems to just never end. So far, at least 30 people are dead. Others were just simply lucky to get out with their lives.
Glad to be alive. This is the second time in my life. I should have been dead.
Gosh, could you imagine? The Coast Guard is responding to the crisis there. In helicopter video, you can see roofs torn right off buildings. Many areas where homes stood are now lots just filled with debris. The Coast Guard has been rescuing people who are injured there.
And not just the Coast Guard, people from all over are doing what they can to help those in the Bahamas. One man from Jacksonville bought more than 100 generators, each valued at $450. He plans to send them all to the Bahamas.
Celebrities are also getting in on the humanitarian effort. Rapper Ludacris says he's donating $100,000 to relief efforts in the Bahamas. He raised the money during an event over Labor Day weekend.
Cruise line company Royal Caribbean also pledging to help the Bahamas. They're sending a huge shipment of supplies, 43,000 water bottles, 10,000 meals, generators and other supplies. The cruise liner says they'll also donate nearly $1.5 million to the island's relief efforts.
Tim, Dorian is about as close as it is going to get to us, hopefully, and it's bound to be a long night for people at the beach.
Yeah, it sure will be too. You're no doubt about it. This storm, even if you're staying, even if it's not quite as windy as it could have been down there, it's going to be a long and stressful night, no doubt, because trees fall on these things. That's why we encourage people to kind of get out if you're able to. Here's a loop of the storm, and I wanted to kind of do a longer loop. This is over the 24-hour period. So looking back to last night at this time, look at the difference in strength. You can kind of just tell, right? It's shrinking a little bit in size. It's weakening. It's gotten gobbled up by a lot of dry air. This is a water vapor image, and that brown is dry air over our area, and this is the hurricane. You can kind of see it infiltrating, and really it's almost like kryptonite for hurricanes. Speaking of this one question I've gotten quite a bit of, is this the longest hurricane on record? Well, no, it's really not. Believe it or not, there have been some that have lasted for several weeks. This one, though, It's one for us to remember for a long time. I wanted to take you on the entire path. There it is, intensifying over the Bahamas, sitting tragically there, and then just paralleling the coastline. Can you imagine how this has just paralleled the coastline? And believe it or not, the National Hurricane Center, they've had a great forecast ever since it stalled out in the Bahamas. They never predicted that landfall, and in fact, it never has happened. In fact, Cape Fear, they are just about 10 miles away from the eye, but it did not come ashore, not yet. Winds at 100 miles per hour right now. The pressure's still pretty low. It's 35 miles southeast of Wilmington. That's about the closest that it's been to land here. Cape Fear was only about 15 miles away. This red is meant to estimate where the hurricane force winds could be. They could be right over Cape Lookout as we go into the early morning. That's 7 o'clock here. There's Cape Hatteras, and we'll say goodbye to Dorian as it goes toward lunchtime tomorrow. The Outer Banks, they're still looking at this storm tomorrow morning, whereas Wilmington will get quite a bit better. Wind gusts, I'll be honest with you, they have not been quite as high as I would have expected, at least so far. Some of the highest winds I can't show you on this map, but hearing of 75-mile-per-hour gusts near the Fort Fisher area, and certainly offshore, that buoy, that one with the American flag that Alma was telling you about, 83-mile-per-hour gusts. That's live right now. That's offshore and quite a bit closer to the center of the storm. Another thing we don't know yet, because it's dark outside, how bad has the storm surge been in places like Myrtle Beach, Holden Beach, Wilmington? We don't know yet. We're going to need to wait until tomorrow, but it was expected to be a very powerful and significant storm surge along the coast. That could cause a whole lot of beach erosion. We'll see how it pans out tomorrow. Our radar has been pretty dry, but if you are in Alamance County or Randolph, you got yourselves a little bit of rain, maybe over 1/4 of an inch. Not too far away over toward Raleigh, as much as 3 inches estimated. That's the sharp cutoff we were advertising. And the winds are still pretty gusty, gusting to about 30 miles per hour in Burlington, but we'll be okay. It'll be fine. There's your eye of the hurricane getting very close to Cape Lookout tomorrow. They are under the gun. So are the Outer Banks. That continues through about lunchtime on Friday. Meanwhile, we have ourselves a sunshiny day. No problems. The wind is still with us in the morning, but it goes away by the afternoon. It's great weather for high school football. And then we have all systems go for a good weekend as well. There's your planner for tomorrow. Good amount of sun around the area, but still breezy in the morning. As we said, the mugginess will start to go away too. You can count on some lower humidity for the weekend, but if you're looking for cool, refreshing fall air, I don't know where it is. It's not here.
We are going to stay on top of this situation for the next 30 minutes. You will not be missing the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. It will run in its entirety at midnight. Stick with us for the next half hour for more coverage of Hurricane Dorian at the Carolina coast. If you're watching online or on Facebook, check out our behind-the-scenes camera as we go to break. We'll be right back.
Our coastal towns are feeling the full force of Hurricane Dorian right now. The massive storm is moving up our coastline.
And WFMY News 2's Maddie Gardner is live in Wilmington right now as that rain and that wind continue to slam the coast.
Yeah, Chad and Tanya, it's going to be a long night here in Wilmington. A lot of people are going to be up around the clock, not just because of the force and the noise that this wind is making, but a lot of people are anxious, worried about what Hurricane Dorian is going to bring, especially just being 12 months removed from Hurricane Florence and the damage that this city saw. You can tell that the wind is starting to pick up still. That rain is coming down, and that is really evident by looking at the trees and the lights here in downtown Wilmington. We're about 5 blocks away from the Riverwalk, and you can see how much rain is coming down if you look at the street lights here, and those trees are really starting to move around as well. We're also seeing a lot of standing water out on the road. We're on 3rd and Gray Street, the intersection there, in a parking deck about 6 floors up, and we've just watched 3rd Street deteriorate. That water is moving faster and faster. It almost looks like a river with a current. The water is moving so quickly down the street. Not too many cars out here. The most cars we've seen have been from first responders, some New Hanover County Sheriff's deputies, maybe EMS going out to check out something. We've heard a few emergency sirens. We've also heard a loud bang and some blue-green light flashing in the distance. We assume that it's transformers blowing, but fortunately no power outages in the area we are in just yet. But goodness, that wind really is no joke out here. And that has been the big story for us tonight. You know, being in a higher elevation, we've really experienced the worst of that wind in downtown Wilmington. And it has reached a point now where they're going to start closing a lot of those bridges that are out here on our coast. The bridge over the Intracoastal Waterway to Wrightsville Beach, they'll close that down once winds have reached 45 miles per hour, and we are seeing some gusts of that speed already. So it's just not safe for first responders or anyone to be out and about on those bridges, especially during these conditions. But I tell you what, Wilmington, they really got prepared for this storm, guys. We've been here for a couple of days now, and we've seen people buying up plywood, getting it on their windows and their doors, putting sandbags out. They don't want to take any chances with this one. They say they learned a lot of lessons from Hurricane Florence, and even if they aren't leaving Wilmington or the Wrightsville Beach area, they said that they prepared even more to be stuck around for a few days, at least self-sufficient for about 72 hours, because last year they were stuck. They said Wilmington essentially became an island when those interstates closed down, and we could see more flooding this year, you know, with the storm surge expected with this storm, and we're already seeing a lot of standing water on the streets. We are under a flash flood warning until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, so we're definitely expecting to see more of this water come down, and the speed at which that water is moving is really what's getting to me right now. That wind is just whipping it around and really causing a crazy and outstanding sight here in downtown Wilmington. I mean, I've never seen anything quite like it before, and you can certainly see that for yourself from the above view that we're giving you from the 6th floor of this parking deck, and just the wrath that Dorian has. You know, this is what they've been preparing for all week long, and we'll see if their preparations will stand the test of Hurricane Dorian tonight.
All right, thanks so much, Maddie. Now, how it looks there right now is how it looked in South Carolina earlier tonight. They experienced the full force of Dorian, creating hundreds of thousands of power outages and flooding several parts of the coastline.
WFMY News 2's Marissa Tansino is live in Myrtle Beach tonight. Even though the storm is moving out, they're not out of the woods yet, and you can hear it.
Yeah, you guys, the wind is picking up at times, but for the most part, we are not seeing the severity of conditions that we were seeing earlier this afternoon. Earlier this afternoon, it was hard at times to even stand down on Ocean Boulevard, and that's part of the reason that we moved all the way up here, was because conditions were really getting worse, and you know, we didn't want to put ourselves in danger when trying to do what we needed to do. So we moved up here, and the wind and the rain, the wind has really let up a little bit, but the rain seems like it's been pretty steady. All night we have seen under these street lights the rain kind of blowing sideways, because although the wind is letting up a little bit, we are still seeing those strong gusts. So power outages statewide, still a concern, although here locally in Horry County, it's not as bad as other parts of the state. Charleston and south of here in Georgetown County really look like the worst parts that are getting that. In being here out in the distance, we did see a few flashes of blue, green, and orange lights out in the distance, which we presume to be transformers. So that there are still effects in this immediate area happening from this storm, but all of Ocean Boulevard still has power. So Ocean Boulevard, from what we can see here with the lights, in good shape, which is good news, because earlier tonight I was not convinced that we were going to have power at this point in the night. So that is good news. For reference, we are near 21st Avenue North in Myrtle Beach, but we have seen several things today. People refusing to leave because they just wanted to ride out the storm. As most of you know, the Jeep that was on the beach earlier today, that was a huge talker, and there were parts of the roof of hotels down on Ocean Boulevard that were blowing off. So definitely an eventful day here with Dorian in Myrtle Beach, but it's good news that conditions are starting to let up a bit. We'll send things back to you.
Marissa, as Dorian moves up the North Carolina coast, its potential path has it targeting the Outer Banks.
It's expected to hit there early tomorrow morning, and Stephen Graves with our sister station is there tonight.
As Hurricane Dorian makes its way up the coast here in the Outer Banks, we're seeing those heavy spurts of wind and rain. People who have stayed in the Barrier Island community say they are taking this threat seriously. We have seen people put their cars on higher ground, their boats as well, as those heavy winds and rains are expected to flood certain communities. We have seen choppy ocean water. We have seen the waves get close to homes in Rodanthe, North Carolina. The biggest concern concern here is Soundside flooding here on the beach. Highway 12, a main artery to get in and out of the community, could flood, which makes getting resources to the island and getting people off very difficult and sometimes impossible. Right now there is a curfew in place. It extends until 12 in the afternoon tomorrow as we wait and see Dorian's true impact here. Reporting in the Outer Banks, I'm Stephen Graves.
Happening right now, thousands of people posting Dorian pictures and videos online as the storm tears up our coastline.
Yeah, and WFMY News 2's Ben Briscoe has been going through the latest posts to find out the best pictures and the videos and the stories behind the stories.
So as the night goes on, one trend is really taking over, and this pretty much sums it up right here from Aaron, who tweeted, "Anybody else laying in bed wondering what happened to that red Jeep?" You know which one we're talking about. It is this one right here, where a driver abandoned a Jeep outside of Myrtle Beach in the sand, and it got sucked up by the water. We all watched it live on TV for hours today. Here's what we found out. Emergency rescue crews said that they were going to leave that Jeep there until the morning, and that it was just too dangerous right now to go out and get it. If it was still there in the morning, they'd go back and get it. Here is the most recent picture we could find of it right before the sunset. We got one update on Twitter from someone who attached a few pictures, who said that the sand around the Jeep has eroded, but the tide is starting to recede. He said the Jeep has not moved and the tires are still stuck in the sand. You can look, it's pretty deep down there. It is going to take a while to get that thing out if it is still there in the morning. Now, this Jeep has become a huge icon on social media. People actually traveled from hours away just to get a selfie with this Jeep, some climbing on top to take the picture. It got so bad at one point, police had to tweet out for asking people to stop doing this because they were putting themselves in danger. We even saw, yes, look at this, a bagpiper coming up to play a tribute to the red Jeep. Now, here's what we know. The Jeep became an internet meme like that. We even had people who tried to sell this Jeep on Facebook saying, quote, "For sale, just washed up, gently used, minor water damage, just minor, must pick up immediately because this deal won't be available for long." So lots of people have been asking, why would someone leave their Jeep there? Well, guess what? The owner of the Jeep didn't even know it was there until the police came knocking. Here's why and what we found out. The owner lent his Jeep out to his cousin for the day. So it was the cousin's fault, guys. It wasn't even his. How mad would you be at that cousin? I would not be talking to him again.
Okay.
Oh,
that is no bueno. Okay, it seems like we've been talking about Dorian for a while, and the storm has left quite a path, and I know we're all kind of like stunned that you would let someone borrow your car and then that's what would happen to it.
I just want to know how much the Jeep is going for now. I mean, it's on sale, right?
It's a cultural icon, so it's probably worth a lot of money.
It's going to be there a while.
Yeah, Dorian's going to be there for a while too, huh?
This has been a long storm, hasn't it?
Forever. We've been talking about it seems forever. And we're going to be talking about it for at least a couple more days as we assess damage and all that other kind of jazz.
Yeah, really interested to see. It's always tough when it hits at night. Always would prefer the storm to be during the day. Chad, you've been in hurricanes, maybe you would agree. It's difficult to know exactly what's going on when it's still dark out.
Right, because you don't know, you're out in the elements and you don't know what's flying around you. You don't know if there's floodwaters in front of you. So yeah, I mean, and of course for us, we're a visual medium, so it helps to be able to see things as it's happening.
Right. And, you know, part of the things that we'll look for tomorrow, I think, hopefully, maybe they'll let us back on some of the beaches so we can report to folks. People that have homes, or they just like, everyone has their favorite beach.
Yes.
I know I do, I know you do.
I want to know what it looks like.
What does it look like? So we'll have to see. Triad and I, we're not really sure how bad the storm surge has been yet.
Yeah, especially as we get closer and closer to high tide as we go through the next hour and a half or so, just north of the Wilmington area as you get closer to Emerald Isle. You know, they've already been hit hard with tornadoes, with those outer rain bands this morning, and now we're going to see that storm surge move in. Just how bad will that be? How much beach erosion will we have to deal with? Yeah. It's going to be something to keep an eye on as we go on into tomorrow for sure.
I've been really happy to see that landfall hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
That's good news. It was a possibility. We were mentioning earlier tonight, hey, we got to watch these wobbles. If it wobbles this way, it's on Cape Fear. If it wobbles the other way, which it did, it stayed off. That's really the difference between about 100-mile-per-hour winds and the 70-mile-per-hour gusts that we've seen. That's it so far. I'm kind of happy that the winds have stayed a little lower.
But what I'm hearing from friends who live in the Wilmington area, they're talking about neighborhood flooding. So that's not the stuff that you like normally see at the very beginning. You see that the next couple of days, and how they're already wading through their street, you know, in knee or thigh high waters. I mean, and then that means that all the stuff that they had just redone from Florence and Michael and all that other kind of stuff, all that stuff, you know, comes back out of the house all sopping wet and everything else.
They obviously stayed, right? Are they mentioning, hey, we're glad we stayed, or we're a little wishing we didn't?
I think they're going to wait to see how long they're going to live without power,
Or
because
how
the
long
last
tonight
time,
is.
because the last time it was a really long time.
And I just can't believe all the tornadoes that have spawned from this ahead of time, right? I mean, I feel bad for all these people who have ruined homes and businesses, and they're still kind of just waiting to see what Dorian does.
Yeah, certainly more than average. Certainly more than average as far as the amount of tornadoes that we have seen with this system. You know, usually you get maybe 1 or 2, 3 or 4, but we've had just a slew of tornadoes, and we might have some more overnight tonight now as that outer rain band starts to approach the Outer Banks.
All right, Luke, it's time for sports.
Yes, it is. We are actually just days away from kickoff for your Carolina Panthers. And talk about a week 1 opponent.
You know, when you open up with a team as high-powered an offense as this, it's a good test for us, and, you know, we're excited about it.
I think we all can second that. The home opener just days away, and we hear from inside that Panther locker room next. That moment when you realize football's back. Wait, really? No more countdown? Yeah, really. Newton has had quite the offseason rehabbing both his shoulder and recent left foot sprain, but Coach Ron Rivera knows best, and he and his franchise star are ready for week 1.
It's been very good. It really has. So again, you know, like I told you guys, there's no doubt in my mind that, you know, he's playing Sunday. There's no doubt in my mind that he'll go out and do the things that he's done in the past. I just like where he is, and, you know, it's been a good few days.
Okay, great. Love to hear it. And for this guy, QB1, talking about the Super Bowl? No, sir. He didn't want to hear it.
I want to say it publicly. I could care less about the Super Bowl. I'm just trying to become 1-0 on Sunday. So everybody's, you know, feeling like they're doing the things that nobody else is doing. They feel as if they're going to be the team to win the Super Bowl. We want to get back to, you know, playing Carolina Panther football.
The Panthers defense will certainly have their hands full with the Rams' explosive offense, but they're still ready for the challenge this Sunday.
It's a good challenge for us, and you know, they do their best to get themselves in the best opportunity for them to be successful, whether it's run, it's pass. So that's something that, you know, you got to pay attention to. But everybody's got to be cued in. All our communication's got to be in the right spot. But for us, if we can get dialed in and do what we practiced this week, I think we're in good shape.
Okay, so take a deep breath, all of you at home. This graphic is real. Panther football less than 3 days away. The home opener, you heard it from the men themselves. It will not be easy against the Los Angeles Rams. Kickoff set for 1 p.m. and we here at WFMY News 2 will, of course, have your complete coverage as your official station of the Carolina Panthers. Cannot wait.
Okay. Can we talk about his hat and the hairdo?
Do you guys like it? Or?
I don't know.
I don't like it.
I guess only if anyone can pull it off, Cam can pull it off.
I guess that's true.
Yes.
I think he only gets to wear that stuff if he wins. I think on a bad day you got to wear the boring clothes like us.
Well, he hasn't lost. He hasn't lost. So
you got to be sad, right?
I want them to win though. Win every game, please. Should we talk about the weather more?
Let's do that.
Okay, we're going to talk more about the weather. New numbers actually just now coming in from the Hurricane Center. This is the midnight advisory, a couple minutes early. Lucky you, you get to see this. 100-mile-per-hour winds, consistent with what it was. Nothing has changed whatsoever. It is still moving. That eye still off the coast. We do like that part of it, but notice up the coast, you see Atlantic Beach, that little point on the island, and then you have Cape Hatteras farther along. It is still possible it could clip either of those with the strongest winds. We hope it continues to the east, but we'll be watching that overnight. Of course, the Good Morning Show will keep you up to speed as well. Eric Chilton and the whole gang will have all those latest updates. Our weather's fine for the Panthers, for
Looks
Friday
great.
night football. Everything's okay. You will notice the wind is still up tonight and tomorrow morning.
And if you still want to keep track of what's going on the coast, we're going to have live coverage starting at 12:30 this morning, so in 30 minutes, on our Facebook page and on our website. So we'll hope to see you.
See ya.
WFMY News 2 at 11 is brought to you by Cox Toyota in Burlington. Take a test drive and you could win $1,000. So before you buy, give Cox a try.